The Matildas are the national women's football team for Australia, and they have quietly become one of the nation's most beloved sporting teams, featuring players such as Caitlin Ford, Emily Van Egmond, Hayley Rasso, and Mary Fowler. One player, however, whose importance has now risen to cultural and societal levels, stands out above the pack. Her name is Sam Kerr, and this is her story. Samantha May Kerr was born on September 10, 1993 in Perth, Western Australia, to parents Roger and Roxanne. Sam was born into a family that had long-standing athletic prowess, with some of her family members having impressive sporting resumes. Her father Roger and brother Daniel both played professional Australian rules football. Roger had a healthy career in the professional and state leagues in Western and South Australia, but her brother Daniel would actually go on to become a household name, playing for the West Coast Eagles in their 2006 AFL Premiership winning team. Sam's grandfather on her dad's side was also an athlete, a featherweight boxer from Bengal, India. Sam's mum, Roxanne, also has a strong sporting heritage. Roxanne is connected to renowned footy players Con Reagan and Sean McManus. The family also boasts a link to JJ Miller, the jockey who rode Galilee, the winner of the 1966 Melbourne Cup. Due to the Kerr family's long-standing ties in Aussie rules football, it was only natural for Sam to play it whilst growing up. In fact, she actually hated soccer when she was younger, and has previously stated that she was 100% Aussie rules football, and that she never had a soccer ball around the house. Gender restrictions in Aussie rules football proved to be the catalyst for a transition into soccer, as she was unable to keep playing with the friends that she had made playing Aussie rules. She made a change that would ultimately affect the trajectory of her life. Sam's disdain for the sport of football was short-lived though, having begun her soccer career at the age of 12 for the Western Knights. Playing against the boys with no previous experience in the sport, Sam was a standout. So much so that the parents of opposition players would often applaud her goals. Mano Sanadakis, who coached Sam from the under-12s to the under-13s, said that she wasn't just a kid running to goal, she was a cheater with a ball. She took to the game and showed everyone how to play it. She stood out so far, it was ridiculous. So much was her talent that it actually transcended into legend within Perth. Anyone who witnessed her ability said that it was clear from the outset that she was destined to achieve greatness. After being spotted by a talent scout and invited to practice with a state representative team, it wasn't long before Sam began to climb the football ranks in a steady fashion. 2009 was the W League's inaugural season, and also the one in which Sam Kerr would make her professional debut for the Perth Glory playing as a winger. Sam's athletic ability caused people to pay attention. Despite still being in the heart of her teens, she moved like few else on the pitch. With frequent bursts of power, she could run faster and jump higher than the majority of the adults on the pitch. With the ability to outleap experienced defenders to win aerial duels, Sam's height was never an issue. Ex-Matildas manager Tom Sermani once stated that she could jump like a gazelle. She had a presence about her on the field, and she looked like she could always score goals. In fact, her vertical leap was one of the reasons her former W League coach Bobby Despotovsky decided to switch Kerr's position from winger to striker. In her debut season, Kerr was voted Players Player and was also awarded Goal of the Season for her long-range strike against Sydney FC in round 8. These efforts would see her selected to represent the senior Matilda squad at the ripe age of 15. Not a bad effort for someone who only started playing the sport 3 years prior. However, this was just the start for Sam. She would spend the rest of her teenage years in the W League in Australia, honing her craft before moving to the Western New York Flash at age 20. Following her stint in America, Kerr returned to the Perth Glory in 2014, where she would begin to solidify herself as one of the premier strikers in women's football, only to return to the States again before being signed by European giants Chelsea. However, it was on the international stage where Sam Kerr would become a household name and begin to revolutionise women's football in Australia. Despite football being the most popular junior team sport played in the country, let's face it, Australia isn't particularly well known for producing footballers that gain international recognition. Enter the Sam Kerr era. Sam Kerr has given Australians the opportunity to place their adoration and love for the world game into a player an entire nation can be proud of. She has potentially filled the void that many Australians have felt for a long time, and has surpassed her male predecessors as Australia's greatest ever footballing export in terms of popularity. Quite simply, she is the face of women's football in Australia and truly encapsulates the Australian spirit, described by the Matildas vice-captain Steph Catley as so important, and that she's the Matildas' spiritual leader. So much has her ascension into spiritual leadership been revolutionary for the women's game in Australia. You can track the trajectory of Sam Kerr's career with the rising number of women playing football in the country. According to Football Australia, from 2016 to 2022, women's participation numbers in all sectors of the sport saw a combined 36% increase. With such a significant increase in such a small amount of time, it's hard not to attribute this to the effect Sam Kerr and this generation of Matildas has had on Aussie women and their willingness to participate in organised football. In order to gain a better understanding as to just how far women's football has come in Australia, Matildas fullback Ellie Carpenter became emotional in a recent press conference, recounting how there would only be 300 people in the stadium when she would go to watch the Matildas matches at age 12 in 2012. Compare this to the modern day numbers whereby the Matildas had 50,000 people in the stands in their most recent World Cup match against France, and 75,000 people watched them beat Denmark 2-0 in the game before that. The Matildas have also smashed TV ratings records in Australia, with an estimated 4.17 million people tuning in to their knockout match against France. The cultural impact of this cannot be understated. If you take a second to think about how many young boys and girls would have been tuning in to watch that game with their mums, their dads, their aunties, their uncles, their grandparents, whoever it may be, I can guarantee you that some of them would have been thinking, I want to do that when I'm older. The aspirations of future sporting generations are in the hands of people like Sam Kerr, because not only does she have elite technical ability, but she has the charisma to match it. Sam's off-field contributions to the game have been well documented. Upon being signed by Chelsea, she became one of the highest paid female footballers on the planet, saying that she hoped one day soon all women would be paid as she is. Along with this, her openness about her sexuality and the fact that she comes from a diverse cultural background makes her a strong female role model. She is a role model to not only girls and women, but to boys and men too. Dr. Kate O'Halloran, a freelance journalist with a PhD in gender and cultural studies, sums up Kerr's importance perfectly, saying that it is vitally important that women in sport like Kerr continue to speak out on a whole range of social justice issues to ensure we really capitalise on this evolution for women in sport. Kerr has broken the mould for female footballers in Australia by having a strong sense of self and a high level of determination with.